It is time for the next episode in my ongoing Inkarnate Map tutorial series for those of you who are working on using Inkarnate to build tabletop maps for your virtual tabletop or other needs. And today we're going to be getting down into a sort of a tips and tricks type of video. This is kind of how I easily break up a city map into individual maps, which are then used for street scenes and smaller encounters where you can set up for like the random street thugs and things that are going to happen as your players adventure through the city. Now, one of the most important things to focus on right away is that when you build this initial map, the initial city map, you need to be thinking about the fact that you want to break it down into smaller sections later on, which means building it so that you have some scalability. So obviously we are completely, out at the max, zoomed out at the max level. But if I zoom in to say over here to Lord Oberon's Manor, you can see we can get quite down in here because we're using assets. As an example, this building right here is placed at the size. 65 is the size, so we can actually get down in here. And if I were to place an NPC, well, let's grab one from the catalog, and you'll see what I'm talking about when it comes to people and stuff. Orcs, humanoids, here we go. So if I take a clergy member and I plop him down in the map, that is that individual right there at a 65 setting as well. It doesn't look too bad, but I can also shrink that down, say fit it to the size of the doors, which would be around 45, it looks like, maybe to fit that door, more or less. So at 45, you could see that we get, hang on, let's bring that back down in size to 45. We can place quite a number of NPCs on the map. Scroll in and get decent detail. Now, if I go into exporting this at 8K, this will have even more resolution because we can only see it at 4K on this map. So just keep that in mind in terms of when you first flesh out your city map, you want to make sure that it is built in such a way that you can scale down in the 4K resolution. And if it looks pretty good in the 4K resolution, then that means you're going to be able to break these up pretty easily. So what am I talking about? Well, go in here to the grid tool, and you're going to notice that you have this section that says resize map or make a new map from a region. Now, there's a variety of ways I'll do this once I get in here. The process is the same for everything. So we're going to show you the process first, and then I'm going to talk about how you can strategically break up your map into sections. So I want to resize the map from the region, right? I want to make a new map from the region. So I'm going to take this button and I'm going to go over here and I can just click a square however I want to, right? I can make this whatever dimensions I want. So let's just say, right now it's an arbitrary shape over here, right? Now I can go up here in the top right and I can further define this. If I want it to be a box, then I would say, like, let's say height 1000, width 1000. And that's that shape. Now I could say that that's a little too big. Maybe I want it to be 500. Hang on, I lost that. 500 by 500. That might be something I want to work with, but maybe it's 750 by 750. That doesn't look too bad. That gives me those three buildings right there, which are kind of the section that I want to work with for this map that's coming up. So I'm going to confirm that. It says a new map will be created based on the selected region. Here's what happens when you click Save and Proceed. Your current map will be saved automatically and the current editing session will be finished, assuming you've made any changes. A brand new map will be created based on the area that you've selected. If the selected area stretches beyond the boundaries of the current map, empty spaces will be filled with the default water and land textures. It says for the new map, remove all objects outside of the selected region. Yes, and we're going to Save and Proceed. Now, we have essentially just created a cloned map of that section of the city map. Okay, now here's where we get into some of the fun stuff that can start to happen, because once you've chosen to break this down into a battle map, which is what we've done right here, we've taken that and we've made a square battle map here. Now it could be rectangular, it could be whatever we want, but this is what we have from before. Now I automatically know that I don't want the birds, so we're going to get rid of the birds. I also don't want any of the clouds, so I'm going to strip the clouds out. I think everything else can stay. But what we're essentially looking to do at this point is now we're going to be fleshing this out with a lot more detail than we would have had on the original map. Because now we're getting down into the level of going, okay, I want to place these player characters on the map. So let's go into the humanoids. And let's get this. Now that's way too big. So we want to bring that down in size, right? That's just way too big. So come on down in size. We're going to keep reducing that. Let's just, matter of fact, we can take this all the way down to perhaps, that's still a little big. I proportion them by the size of the doors, more or less, even though that's not perfect. You can make them slightly bigger. Let's go with 180. 180 feels like it's pretty good. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a range of characters right here. Some adventures. What other ones do we have? Clergy member back in here. Get another person there. Now, we're not going to use all of these right here, but we are going to be using these in a way that allows us to then place things in different places. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. There's a dwarven woman. Open catalog. Get into the elves. And like so. Get into the knights. I'm just going to place these here. Okay. And we're just going to go down through here and we can place all we want in terms of people. We definitely want some of these. We want some workers, kids, like so. Lady with a rolling pin, old man, something like that. Now that we've broken this down into this map, we can then flesh this out with as much detail as we want. We can place these NPCs in places that we want them. So we would come in here and say we want a group of adventurers, maybe huddled up over here, talking amongst themselves, like so. Got a couple of dwarves in their party. And then maybe over here we've got a dwarf and an infantryman with another dwarf sorcerer. Maybe there's a kid with his mom down in here and the old man that's with them. This guy is going to be randomly pushing something down the street. This is a lone, won't be a lone sentryman. Two sentrymen going like this. Put this kid over here working. We can have this guy, put her maybe over here. This guy over here with the squadron. Yeah, walking down the street like so. Maybe put this lady. Can we flip her? Yeah. She's on her way to do something down in here. Let's move these two over here. Have them with that person, and then we can have these two guards over here, like so. And move these over here. Now we've essentially just added some life to this scene by just adding some NPCs, but we could do a lot more than that once we get down into the nitty gritty. I'm actually going to move her down over here because she could be coming around. No, I actually am pretty happy with her over there in the stables. Actually, it would make more sense to have him there and her there and flip this dude around like so. All right, she's on her way marching somewhere excitedly like so. And we would probably want to come in here and put a wagon. I know we would want to use a wagon. Do we have wagons? We do have wagons. So maybe put a wagon in here somewhere just for storage. Maybe it's back in here like that. I don't like the layer that's on, so we're going to drop that layer down so that it's behind the trees at least, and we can kind of park it like maybe right here on the edge of the building. So the whole point here is to come in and take this little section of a map that we've broken off, and we can add as many details as we want to it in terms of fleshing this out. Now, I would probably spend another 2 to 5 hours on this, completely fleshing this out so that I can get this map as high detailed as I want. Now, you don't have to have all of this detail on here. If you wanted to, you could get rid of all of the people. So we're going to do that here in a second. We're going to show you something here. We're going to go ahead and save this map, and we're going to call it Badger 1. Okay. We're going to save this. And while that's saving, I'm going to talk about the importance of cloning or copy pasting, because copy and pasting is going to save you so much time, because we can literally take the map that we just made, assuming it's going to save. It's wanting to take a few minutes for some reason. Once this map is saved, we can then have this as a populated version, and then we can take another version where we strip out all of the NPCs so that we're left with only the street map. Now, why might we want to do that? Well, you might want a map that doesn't have any people on it because you want to use that for a battle map for your players to have an encounter with some NPCs whose tokens you are going to place onto the map via whatever virtual tabletop program that you are using. It might be Fantasy Grounds, it might be Foundry VTT, it might be whatever you choose to use. So let's go ahead and go back into our maps here. And you're going to see now that we have this map. Now we can clone this very easily. Now we can just clone that map and call it Badger 1 copy. That's absolutely fine. Okay, now we're going to open the Badger 1 copy. Open it at resolution 4K. We're going to open this up. And we are now going to get rid of all of the NPCs. And we would then save this as its own thing. So we would come in here and get rid of all the peasants, archers, guards, peasants, dwarves, archers, dwarves, elves, clergy, guards, dun, 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 dun. Delete. That's all the NPCs gone now. And then we save this as its own thing. Now, what was I talking about in terms of grids and stuff? And by the way, why would you prefer to use the grids in your chosen VTT program and not the grids that are here within Fantasy Grounds? Well, we'll talk about that here as soon as it gets done saving. We'll go into this. One of the reasons that I would prefer people to use the grids that their chosen virtual tabletop program provides them with is I'm making the assumption that people who use this program, who use Inkarnate to make maps, are doing so for use with VTT. Whether that's Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Foundry VTT, there's others out there, but those are the most popular ones that I'm aware of. Now, those all come with their own grid systems that you can lay out on top of maps, and you should use those more than you should use the ones here, because those will fit within that system and allow you to size the map accordingly and allow you to quickly snap tokens to that grid. If you lay it out here, it won't be the same thing, but let's say for a minute that you just have your own homebrew campaign and you have your own 50-inch TV screen that is inset into a table so that you're using that as your play surface, and you want the grids laid out for your players around the table so that you can have this. So you can actually turn on the grid here, and you could choose to resize this grid however you see fit. You can make this, hexagonal, whatever you want. You can do that. Let's just go with the old fashions. Let's do these. Now we can take this down in terms of the width and everything else, but we would say we want there to be, if we want this to be roughly the size of the tokens, that would be fine. Drop the width down like so, and then you could use this when you're playing with your characters at their table, but that's your personal preference. You don't have to have grids here, and again, you can change those to be anything you want them to be for use at your home table. All right, so we've gotten that out of the way, but let's go back to the maps, because I wanted to talk about the importance of how you decide what chunks of the map you're going to break up. So I can take a map like this, and I know for a fact, because I've already written the campaign, right? We've actually live streamed the first, I think, 10 episodes of the first part of the season 1 arc, which all takes place within Forkland. And we know there are a few key areas that we would be breaking up into smaller maps. One, of course, would be the Laughing Badger Inn area. right? The other one would be Lower Oberon's Manor. So boom, that's a second map. Baron Wilhelm's Estate. Boom, that's a third map. We could do down here. We need the section here that has the Temple of Light. That's another map. Then the Forkland Conclave is another map. So every time we want to make a map, we just come in here and size this square however we need it to be to get the area that we want, and then we can take that and make it into a smaller map. So I already know that I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Morehem's supplies. That's 6. And then over here, I need, this is definitely a part of the, hang on, I lost my good thing. The Dockmaster and Dented Cauldron. That's 7 right there. Mantle's Stables is 8. The City Watch and Derlin's Forge is 9. The Fuar Trading Company is 10. I've got the Rental Estate, that's 11. Lady Hilbus Manor is 12. Balthus Estate is 13. And then, of course, we have the Silver Trident, which is the player character's boat. So we'd come in here and we would actually, like, as an example, let's just work with this one and say, let's say 750 width by 500 height. That gives us a nice rectangle. And move that up like so. And we can have that be the map. We can just confirm that. Actually, before I do that, though, I want to talk about, right off the bat, I have picked places that are POIs. So I can get 12, 13 mini maps off of this one map that allow me to go in and do fine details around the major POIs for the city. All of those maps are going to be used in the campaign. But what about random street encounters? Well, it's super simple. If you want to do a random street encounter, all you got to do is come in here and pick random sections and say, sorry, I don't want to show the grid. Just say, I want this to be an intersection. Boom, I've got an intersection sequence. Or how about I want this to be, I want to do something around the edge of the church or the edge of the conclave, right? I want there to be a street. This is a random street sequence as well. So you go in here and you make that right there, just like so. It's that simple. You can come in here and put these wherever you want them to be, and boom. Now I want to put one over here. There's another one that features the fountain. And the best part about all of this is that you can make all of these maps. You can have all of them with the POIs in them, or you could do what I've done. You make the ones with POIs for your use with your own homebrew and the stuff that you're selling for your world, which our world in this case is the world of the Weave of the Void. Or you can strip the POIs out, strip all the naming out, and those become agnostic maps. And those are the ones that we're selling for people to use with their chosen VTT program and with their campaigns. Because I'm making dozens of maps for people to use however they see fit, and that's part of the perks. One of the perks that you get for being a subscriber over on our Patreon page is that not only do you get access to the map packs, which include our POIs, but you also get those map packs without the POIs so that you can use them in your own campaigns that are separate from our world. So, coming in here, we could easily then get rid of the Silver Trident name and say, well, let's have a docks scenario. So we're going to lay out a dock area just like this. Let's do a 1200 by 600 block, which is like this. And we can kind of lay this out like so. Confirm that, save and proceed. And I'm going to show you what I mean by this, because you could just come in now and you can strip that Silver Trident POI out. And now you've got a map that you can use for a random docks scene in any tabletop setting that you have, in any virtual tabletop program that you're using. You could print the map out and use it that way. There's lots of different ways. So, I spend an initial 15, 20 hours, depending on the level of detail I want, building the actual city map. But then out of that city map, I can literally pull probably up to 30 maps before I start getting into stuff where I'm repeating myself. But I can easily come in and get about 30 additional maps from the first map that's been built. And obviously I do need to spend a few hours per additional map getting those maps fluffed out with enough details that it makes them original and pop. So like coming into this map, The first thing we said we would do, we're gonna strip the silver trident out because we want this to be a POI-less map. So we can already see we've got a pretty good layout already. So we just get rid of the clouds because we don't want any fluff at the moment. We get rid of the Forkland text, we get rid of the birds, and what we're left with is this base map from here. Now, from here, we would want to add NPCs all along the docks. Guards, we would have cargo coming into the stamps, and we would look at, okay, where is the cargo, by the way? I remember it's somewhere around here. I know there's something on here. I just don't remember what it's under. Here, let's just scroll down and look. Keeping our eyes peeled for things that are usable. All right, here, bales of hay are things we can use for sure. Like we could put bales of hay stacked up on the edge. There's a broken ship we could put somewhere. We could put a shipwreck in there. I'm scrolling down looking for the, where are they at? I know there's some in here. I'm not remembering where they are at the moment. But I know there's a set of tavern. Oh, you know what? I bet it's in the Fantasy Battlegrounds. Hold up. Wait a minute. It might be in the Battle Maps 2.0. That's where I'm probably thinking of it. Yeah, here's where we've got like crates and things of that nature if we wanted to do top-down stuff, but we wouldn't. Core. Here's docks. I could swear there's some in here. I just don't know where they are at the moment as I'm looking through this set at a quick glance. Someone out there watching me scroll down is going to be like, they're right there, and you're just missing them because you're herping and derping. That's absolutely true that I might be herping and derping. So, because we've got all the vegetation and stuff, and I know at some place there's crates. Here's like a fortress town laid out. Here, let's just look at crate. Here we are. That's what I was looking for, right here. It's right here. I just had to search for it. So we have the different types of barrels and crates and bags and stuff. So right here. So you would go in here and you would pick the size that you want, right? And bring it down to maybe like, I don't remember what we were using earlier, but you would want to place it according to the size of your, your NPCs and everything. It might be good to do 70, right? And just place those accordingly on the top of these, wherever you want to, like this, and just randomly place these and then group them all together and flesh this map out as you see fit. So anyway, hopefully that gave you a pretty good overview of what I'm talking about in terms of taking a city map that you spend a significant amount of time fleshing out, but you don't need to do all the fine details in that big map because you know you're going to come in and break down the individual sections and flesh those out with all the juicy details. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more tips and tricks for Inkarnate Map-making for your tabletop needs, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update in my series as I continue to build things out with Inkarnate. I am, of course, building all of the maps for our tabletop world here live on YouTube, so you can always catch a live stream when I'm working on maps as well. And of course, to pick up the map packs that we have available, you can just become a subscriber over on our Patreon page at the Game Master tier. That gets you a copy of our source book, the first adventure module, upcoming adventure modules, any map packs that we publish during that time, as well as access to our art packs and beyond for all of your virtual tabletop needs. You can also support directly here on YouTube. You can do super thanks, super chats, and stickers and all those good things. Don't forget the Discord. Links are down below. And hopefully I'll see everybody in the next episode. Until then, stay safe. Happy gaming.